and today we're here to talk about episode 6 of Demon Slayer season 4. Well, we get a bit more moving and shaking on the villain end of things in this episode. We actually see Muzan as a direct character who is interacting with Nakume. That's the name of the number 4 for the upper moons now. The girl who uses the biwa, as I was saying the other week. I could not think of her name. Can't believe that escaped me. But it was interesting seeing the two of them talking about their plans and about what she is doing for Muzan, and the fact that she seems to have eyeballs all over the areas that the Demon Slayers have, and that apparently they've covered approximately 60%. They still haven't found Nezuko, they still haven't found Kaguya, but they are searching, and the amount of ground that they have left to cover is increasingly shrinking. This is very interesting because in contrast to what the Demon Slayers think, where they think that the demons have kind of gone like into some kind of hibernation or something, that they're kind of backing off and this is giving them time to regroup, they don't realize that they are actually being spied on and that the time that they have left to actually complete the training sessions they're doing is dwindling quickly. Another thing that I thought was an interesting touch in the way that they showed what was going on with Nakume and with Muzan, as opposed to what's going on with our heroes, is the fact that our heroes are working their asses off. Our heroes are going through sweat, blood, and tears. Our heroes are facing injuries and pain and frustration and like emotional sadness and everything else with everything that they are going through and dealing with. Whereas these demons are chilling and just sitting there and biding their time. They seem like they absolutely have it together, but they're not going to any great lengths to do that either. Another great thing that we see is the fact that Tanjiro is again reunited with Inosuke and with Zenitsu, and it's really fun to see some of the interactions that they have, because this is probably the last hurrah for people having fun and goofing around in this series. The stuff that's going to happen going forward is going to be much more intense and much more serious, and it's going to have a lot more consequences. So moments like the Stone Hashira telling Tanjiro to put Zenitsu in the river, and then Zenitsu coming out of having fainted and just running around like a crazy person, or the moment where Tanjiro and Zenitsu are under the waterfall and Zenitsu actually starts to float down the river because he's lost control of stuff and he's having these problems and acting up, and then Tanjiro comes and saves him. These are really important because not only do they show the kind of guy that Tanjiro is and the kind of guy that Zenitsu is, but they also give us a moment to see them dealing with this kind of thing without as much grave sense of danger or concern that something lasting is going to happen, and I think that that's really important. We also get to see this kind of thing with Inosuke, but in a more competitive sense, where Inosuke is like, you're not going to beat me, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to lift these these logs, I'm going to push this boulder. But of course Tanjiro is the one who's figuring it out, but also Tanjiro isn't the one who figures it out first. It's actually Genya who clues in on what is actually going on. And I found it really funny because when he was first describing the idea of repetitive motion being what was going to allow them to push the rock, I was thinking of some kind of like exercise in trying to get it to roll and to take the pressure off of the actual weight of pushing it. But actually what it ended up being was more of a means of emotional connectivity, making it so that Tanjiro could actually muster the force needed to push the rock forward. And this is something that can actually happen to people for real. You can get an adrenaline spike during certain emotional situations where you're in the middle of something and suddenly you just have incredible, amazing strength. Now, I don't mean you're going to become Superman or something, but there's a story in my family about a situation that happened that got my dad so upset that he actually threw a snowmobile into the back of a truck one-handed. So it can happen. People saw this and told me about this. And in this situation here, what makes this distinct from what I just described is that instead of being in that moment, in that actual emotional state, instead what Tanjiro is being taught to do to activate his mark is to find the things in life that make him feel the way he needs to feel to make that activate, and then to cultivate and hold that feeling, like it's, say, rage or mana from an MMO or something. And I thought that that was really interesting. I also really like the fact that when Genya caught up with us, he also thanked us for standing up for him against the Wind Hashira. I thought that was really cool of him because that situation was really shitty, and it was great to see that he actually came around in future episodes to actually return the favor and help us out. Which is nothing less than I would expect from him, because he turned out to be a pretty cool dude in last season. He was a bit rough around the edges at first, but he's someone I ended up really liking, so it's been great to see him in this season and to see what they've been doing with him. Anyway, this has been a pretty good episode overall. It didn't go quite as intense as I predicted last week. It's actually managing to maintain its chill while still kicking it up a notch and making it so that Tanjiro is not going through these situations like a Mary Sue or a Gary Stu and just catching every single thing perfectly every time and then just going forward in 2 seconds. I'd love to know though, what did you guys think of this episode? Feel free to drop a comment and I will see you guys in the next video. Talk to you later. Bye!